coming at you pre-recorded here, Outliers. It's the Outliers Edge podcast, and here I am, Niiamah Ashong, with two esteemed guests. So just so you know, in my mind, coming at you live was what I was thinking. I was like, but it's not live, and I thought it was gonna be funnier, but I don't think it actually like really landed. But it is what it is. We've gone there. That time has existed. And this is it. This is what we do here on the Outliers Edge podcast. We continue to take risks with each other. We continue to expand the world around us and to expand our own knowledge of self. And I'm excited to introduce you to two outliers who never stop doing that. And so we can go into their journey of how they continue to up level their impact, their income, and their integrity. All right, let's go ahead and get to know our esteemed guest today. So, why don't we start off with you, Neil? Neil, thank you for being here. Can you tell us more about you and the game you're currently playing?
So Neil Oates Jr., husband, father, friend, business owner. The game I'm playing, I'm trying to play. Well, I'm not trying to play. I'm playing the mega size game of life. Really focused on doing everything I can with everything that I've been given to impact as many people as I can. And we'll talk about the various roles that I'm doing that through, I'm sure, during this podcast.
All right. Well, I'm really glad that you're here, Neil. Like, thank you for getting this started. Hey, babe, can you mind letting us know about you and the game that you're playing?
Sure, yes. My name is Ebi Ogbu, and I am myself a daughter, sister, podcaster. I work full time, and the game that I'm playing is just hanging in there with my podcast. I did take a break, and I'm planning on relaunching again and hoping to actually make more of an impact, but then to keep at it and not step away like I have before.
Well, I'm liking this here. Both of y'all put in like a couple little breadcrumbs for us to go and play with. I like to look at these conversations as an opportunity to like go all in. And one of the things that I'm getting about both of you is that like y'all are full of life and full of like you bring things to the table. So Neil, let's start off with you right now. Honestly, so I'm gonna just give you my reflection of you. It's like I feel that you play full out, right? I feel like you're someone who plays full out, and I would love to be in that space of like what is it like when you are leading the edge, and you're continuing to grow from there. So let me ask you this here. You've accessed the what it comes off as like I'm going all in on me, and I'm doing that with others. Where Tell me about like the transition before that. What was the thing that unlocked you like saying like this being like, oh, I'm unleashed now. You mind talking to us about that moment?
So absolutely, October 23rd, 2013, I died. I was in an ATV accident and I flatlined. And so at the time, my son, he was 5 years old. And so I came to the realization that, yes, I had done some stuff. I had gained some success, but I wasn't doing everything that I could do. And so realizing that at 5 years old, my son no longer has a dad, my friends no longer have their friend. And I think that I had left a mark, but I haven't left an impact for the world that had been given to me. And so once I resuscitated and I came back and I got my health, I think it was around Halloween of 2013, I decided I will never look back on my life and have regrets for things that I didn't do. And so since then, I have been a wild man. And so I tell a lot of people that my purpose here is to instill the fear of death in them without them having to experience it for themselves, right? So I want when someone look at me, they say, man, he's living like today might be his last day because I believe I'm already on borrowed time.
Thank you, Neil. Like, I had someone who I was in space with. I'm glad you're here, personally. I had someone I was in space with, and he's like, it's like, Neil, you want to know what the difference is between me and you? He said, like, I always know that like death is present with me, right? And it was almost like a Avengers Hulk moment where they're like, Hulk, like how do you keep yourself like from being angry? And he turns around into Hulk as he's saying, like, I'm always angry. It's like how can you keep from being afraid? It's like, look, man, like I get that like tomorrow is not promised. So it is now. We are creating now. Neil, anything else you want to elaborate on that? Like I want to just make sure I'm playing in your world a bit.
So on that, I started realizing where I was playing the game and where there were opportunities that I either had postponed or that I didn't take full opportunities of. I didn't take the full advantage of those opportunities. And I believe that pre-October 23rd, 2013 and post-October 2013, the only difference was those few small arenas where I'm playing, I just said, I'm not going to try to be everything to everyone. I'm going to get in here, I'm going to get focused, and I'm going to go really, really hard. And people are going to know what they're getting when they get Neil Oates, right? And I think that when I did that, everything changed for me. But then really the people around me had more of Neil, and they benefited as a result of me not tiptoeing through life, of them knowing that they're getting 100% husband, friend, father, leader, broker, speaker, coach. And then they're saying, okay, we like this guy, right? The other guy was okay, but now we really like this guy because there's no wavering. And I think that when I made that decision, it not only impacted and helped me, but it helped everyone that's in my circles.
Yeah, we're gonna come to you, AB, right now because I feel like there's some element. The other guy was okay, right? Nothing wrong, but I really like this guy, and I think that like outliers, I'm gonna call that in right now, right? Like some of us are out there waiting and afraid of being seen as the outlier that we are, right? And like much love to you, but the person like the outlier that you truly are, that unleashed one, is probably absolutely amazing. And we cannot wait to get to meet them. So thank you, Neil. You've gotten us set off here in a bit. Uh AB, like let me come to you. Like what's popping off for you right here? I'm curious, like what's going on inside you as you hear what Neil says, and then I'll ask you another question from there.
So much. Neil, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it, and I really admire your vulnerability. What's going on for me is he's talking directly to my spirit because I've lived in the comfort of not shining too much or too bright because I've always felt like it would make other people feel uncomfortable because it's one of those things where it's just I'm gonna be honest, I'm good at almost everything that I do. I will shine. And I've seen how it made people feel uncomfortable since I was young. So I have dimmed my light in so many ways. And I'm not someone that likes a lot of attention, but I receive it anyway. So hearing that, it it definitely did spark a lot of thoughts, especially because in taking a break from my podcast, I struggled about coming back to it and making it stronger than it was before. But it's just like any little attention kind of makes me walk away or makes me back up a little. And even dreaming big is something that is sometimes scary for me because dreaming big means having to always just be at the forefront, but also having to be present all the time where sometimes you just don't want to be present. You don't want to be readily available or accessible to people. And you want your life to be private. And then also, it takes a huge there's a risk in being vulnerable also. So the risk in being vulnerable is of course, you don't give people power when you're being vulnerable. It's still your power and you get to choose how you are with it. But the risk is exposing yourself in a way that where you still appreciate the intimacy or the privacy of your life and not having to share it with everyone. So that's something else. So there's just so many things going on in my mind with Neil speaking. And I was just like, wow.
Neil, I'm gonna come to you in a bit here, and like let's see how we play with this here. We're gonna be jumping back and forth, but like I thought this was about any outlier that was listening to this here, and this conversation might just be for you, right? And so like I would be like really good with just letting that be the case here and letting that let's grow because like I've just been getting to know y'all and I'm like y'all are fantastic. And this if I'm hearing that like this is AB played at like 42%. I just get excited. I just get excited. So like I don't know where this conversation is gonna go, but I want to take it from there. Neil, I'm gonna come back to you real quick here because AB said a couple things here that I heard as assertions. She's like, well, if you are this, then this will happen. Like you won't get privacy, you won't have this, this will be happening there. And I'm curious, as someone who's already living this here, like how true you found that experience to be for yourself. And maybe you can share a little bit about like the experience that you've had as being unleashed because I'm hearing it, but I'm like, is that actually the case, or is that just like what we're asserting right now?
So it all depends on what you want your reality to be, right? I just believe that I get to create the reality that I'm living in. That's just the way my mom and dad raised me. So could that be the case? Yes, it could be. But I also know that I'm in front of about 70 to 80,000 business owners every year, and I still have a very private life. People don't know everything about me. So here's what I want to do. I want to just let AB, no, not I'm not, and everyone else. I care about y'all, but this is my sister right now. I want you to know that you don't need people's permission to be great, right? You only need your permission, right? And not only the permission, but you also have a responsibility to yourself, right? Because here's what one of my best friends told me. He says some people's lives are meant to be easy, some people's lives are meant to be great. Very rarely will you find an easy life that's great. Very rarely will you find a great life that's easy. And so if we're here, here's the beauty of this. We've been put here together for a purpose, on purpose, and I don't believe it's meant for us to have an easy going, right? And you have a reality, you understand who you are. You're saying, hey, I succeed at almost everything I do. Now, if anyone watching or you, AB, if you decided that you didn't want to go big because that's a decision that you made and that you 100% believed was the right choice for you, I would be good with it. But as Marianne Williamson, right, like we don't dull our light because it makes other people feel self-conscious, right? Deion Sanders always says, what about me makes you think that I care about your opinion? Don't let my greatness ignite your insecurities. So they're going to be insecure people. I just want you to be you. And now that we're connected, AB, you're going to have an ear in your a voice in your ear saying, hey, I can't wait for the next episode of the podcast if that's what you want. Right. And so I know that once you and I get connected, we have some conversations, we'll just decide what's good for you. Maybe it's not good for you to get it launched. Maybe it is, but we want that to be a decision that you make. And whatever you do, if you're going 100%, then you're going to find that you get to control who's coming inside of your bubble, who's coming into your life, and how much do you want to share with the world. Maybe you don't want to share everything. My wife is on very few things. My son, like people don't know who they are, what they look like that much because I keep them guarded, right? But everything else, I'm opening up to the world.
So maybe like we're gonna go in a different direction just a bit here, but like I want to see, would you mind speaking to anything that came up for you in that here? And if you do mind, don't feel like you need to. Like, but I like there's just a wonderful opportunity here where it's like this is what this whole podcast is about. This is why we do this.
Right, agreed. No, what came to mind is a couple of weeks ago, I was asking myself, why not me? Because there are times when I need to hear a specific word or I'm looking for a certain energy, and I've always realized that most times it's usually what I provide. So when I created my podcast, it really was a journey of not just shadow work, but also providing people something that I haven't seen or heard. So circling back to everything that he was saying, and thank you so much, Neil, is that that was one of the questions I started to ask myself. It's just like, why not me? Why don't I deserve to go at this at full speed and full capacity? And what also popped off is, you're right. I absolutely do not have to explain everything away or I get to still define what my privacy does look like and what I do keep to myself. And those are things that I am trying to come to terms with or trying to define. I think once I start to plan better and envision things and dream bigger. Just like you said, things start to build and you get to have control of that. I feel like because I stepped away from so much of that that I didn't. But yes, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. They're all forming.
Well, like, thank you so much, and like we'll take you off of the proverbial hot seat. Didn't mean to get there,
It's okay.
because we still want to hear things, but like, I want to just say a heartfelt thank you to both of you, right? So, Neil, I'm coming to you first here. Thank you for this right here is what I would say, like the Marianne Williamson, some of the rest of that quote that she gets put out, like when you let your light shine, other people's lights get to shine too, right?
Yep.
And like we can talk about this stuff this is the thing that, like, the reason I'm staying on this, like, we can say things on a podcast. It's very easy to say. Like, I'll even come on when we're getting before we hit record, I tell people, like, if it's on a bumper sticker, I'm not that interested. Like, I want to know about your actual experience with it, right? And I gotta have an experience when, like, Neil, when you came in, you're like, I'm just going all in. I'm like, oh yes. Like, I can like I can have a conversation and say, like, what happens beyond what I know, as opposed to almost explaining away what I do. You know, I reach out to a lot of people in order to get people onto the podcast, and like I'm still waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, that's cute." Like, wait until you do 10 times that, and like, but that hasn't happened yet. Like, so when you say I'm in front of 70,000, 80,000 like people every single year, and I still have a private life, I'm like, all right, like, game on. Like, that has just created a ton of space to go into. So I want to just say thank you, because it's the realness of this year. We can talk about it, but it's something different to be in space with it.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe I got to say thank you to you, because you are allowing Outliers to be able to live like almost vicariously through you right now. Right. Because there are a number of us that are right on that edge, right on the edge of like our own greatness.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have been open. You talked about vulnerable earlier here. I'm like, you're just being real with us in this moment. And I think that you're helping us transform what could be words into an actual experiences. And I just really wanted to say, like, I acknowledge you. I thank you. I think you're awesome. And I cannot wait to see what you choose to do as doors keep getting knocked down, which you've been doing your whole life, clearly. Yeah, like, this ain't like a new thing. We're just like, all right, just keep doing that thing you're doing. Just like turn up the volume. Yeah, you listen to the song, just turn up the volume. Cool. We'll come party with you.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, cool. So let's keep the conversations going. Like, so both of y'all are playing, both of y'all keep like stepping up, you keep playing different things. I want to get to understand like how y'all have continued to level up over time. All right. And so Amy, this time I'll come to you first here. What I'm curious about is a sorry, so this went through my head. But what I'm curious about is a belief that you've had that in order to either play at the level you are right now, or if you're really going for it, like for where you see your next level being, like if you're playing an even bigger game than you're playing right now, what's the belief that would like that had to get up leveled or that would need to get up leveled? So you choose it here. What's something that's like, hey, this belief is no longer serving me at the level that I am. It's keeping me exactly where I am. If I want to get to that next level, or in order to get here, I had to transform it.
Wow. The belief that I need to let go of is that it's just a hobby. That is keeping me, because that's telling myself it's a hobby means I can walk away from it whenever. I don't have to invest and give it all my heart and soul and sweat and blood, and that I can treat it as if it's just very temporal. So once I get over that belief, I know for a fact I will just go for it. Like, I need to transition it to, this is a life mission, and that's what I need to do.
Oh, could I just say real quick, Neil, I'm coming to you, but like
Wow.
you hit me, you hit me, Amy, you hit me there. Because like I like in my mind, like this happens as I'm having conversations as a host here. I'm like, all right, they're probably gonna go here, and then I'm gonna say this thing, and I'm gonna transition. It's gonna sound so awesome and all that, right? You're like, all right, I gotta stop listening to this as a think of this as a hobby. I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna be saying as a business, and then you came out and you dropped as a life mission,
Yeah.
as a life mission, and it took my breath away for a second, because like this is where we get to play. We get to play a game that's on what your life mission is. Other people might see it as you're tinkering around with a hobby, and you know that you are on mission. I told y'all before we came here, I said Outliers Edge is a movement. Underneath it all, the movement is belonging. I'm doing as much as I can to figure out how I move it. But this is it. Ooh, thank you, Ebi. Neil, what comes to you either from anything Ebi just said, or or around that element of like a belief that needed to up level. What you got?
So I used to think that I had to find a way to bring value to the rooms and the relationships I had. And then I realized a few years back that I am the value, right? That I don't have to learn or do something to be valuable, that when I walk into a room, when I am just there, that I am the value. Coming up on the holidays every year, people say, are you going to bring a present? Are you buying them a present? I'm like, I am the present. I am the gift. What are you talking about? Right. And so I think that when I stopped, and you all see my personality is a little bit out there. So when I had to switch from, okay, what can I learn? What can I do to bring value to I am the value? Let me just deliver me. That switched everything for me.
All right, let's explore this a little bit further because you are reminding me of something. You're reminding me of elements here, and what I'm hearing is that it's gone like I'm experiencing this as it's gone from an external thing to an internal thing, right?
Mhm.
You're like, and what I get about you, Neil, is like while you brush your teeth, you are valued. Right. I say this, it seems silly, but to me, I'm like, it is that level of integrity. Y'all outlets, you hear me? I talk income, impact, and integrity. My definition of integrity is not just doing the right things, it is being whole. It is being an integer. It is being whole with yourself. So the way you open a door is an integrity. The way that you brush your teeth is of value, you know? So this is like take it away from here, Neil. I love this paradigm because it's a simple paradigm, not necessarily easy to take on, but when we hear it, we get it. And I'm curious about your experience with it. Like what would you want us to know? What do you want to just riff off from here?
From me, one of the greatest compliments that I have ever received is, well, I receive it frequently. Thank you. And I'm fortunate that it's, hey, you really are who you say you are. Right. And I think that for me, no matter the rooms, no matter the audience or who I'm interacting with, on the weekends, I'm volunteering with kindergarten through fifth grade in our kids ministry, or I might be working with a multimillionaire billionaire in my real estate or my coaching business, and they're going to get the same Neil, just tweaked and adjusted for the audience, but there is always going to be me. So it's funny because my wife and I, we are very different. I wake up, she calls me a sports car. I wake up and I'm ready to go. So I'm brushing my teeth, singing, dancing, bopping. It doesn't matter what time I wake up. My wife, on the other hand, she calls herself a semi. Now, she's the most beautiful semi I've ever seen, okay? Let's make that clear. But she wakes up, she needs to prime her engine. So when I'm getting our toothbrushes ready, I'm getting mine ready and I know I'm bopping and moving. And she's like, hey, can you keep it down in there? I'm like, baby, I'm going to the other bathroom because no, I can't keep it down because but see, like that's what I think is important for everyone, right? To enjoy this one chance, unless you're me and you got an extra life. Enjoy this one chance you get at this thing. There is no dress rehearsal. So for me, the biggest thing is can I master the mundane? Can I enjoy those boring, non-sexy moments? Can I make sure that if it's just what we call me and the DJ, we're gonna have a good time? And so that's the way I try to live my life. And so far, we're doing a decent job of it because we're getting other people on board saying, okay, I just need a little bit of what you have. I said, no, you just need all of what you have, and that would be enough.
Before we move on, I want to just make sure you get that. That last bit strikes me. It- Can you say that again for us, Neil? Just so we can really, I know you can rewind Outliers, but I want to say it again.
So when people say, I wish I had just a little bit of what you have, I tell them, you don't need a little bit of what I have. You just need all of what you have. And I think that when we start, you mentioned this earlier, sir, when we start looking internally, oftentimes we get stuck looking outside and thinking that if we grasp out here, if we learn or do, if we take the time to look inside, that's going to take us to that edge. It's going to be right there, And I think that's where all the transformation happens. So look inside of yourself, be all of you, and you're going to have remarkable breakthroughs. And I'm saying that from a position of doing it, experiencing it, fearing it, and then having to do it again on a constant basis.
Okay, real quick, just what you just said, I get it makes sense, but there's something that you just said about the doing like that constant basis there. Break that apart really quickly for us, and then because in there, I feel like is all the truth we may need, to actually navigate this path.
So for me, when I say do it on a constant basis, this while I wake up and I'm happy and I'm dancing and I'm all me, that does not mean that this little thing called my mind doesn't betray me every morning, right? I have to make that decision that I'm going to prospect, make my calls, and I'm going to put on a cloak of greatness in the morning, and then I might have to do that again by 9:30. And then I might have to make another conscious decision to be great, to get right up to that edge of greatness by 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And many of us, we make the decision at 9 o'clock, but then when it's time to make it at 12 o'clock, we're like, nah, we've done enough for today. And I think that's where those lulls, that's where those valleys come into it, and why we never really quite hit that greatness, that purpose. That's why we don't hit that life mission type deal, as Ebi mentioned, because we aren't constantly doing it. It's not a set it and forget it deal. It's a set it, do it again, reset it, do it, reset it, and then hopefully you look up and you're a little closer to your goal than you were when you started.
I appreciate that. Amy, what's coming up for you with any part of the conversation so far?
Oh man, so much. I love how he said that he's just, first of all, like this in the morning, morning to night. That is a great amount of energy going. But that is incredible. More so, it's funny because he tapped into the shadow work that people need to do. He tapped into people needing to find their own greatness internally and not looking externally. I feel like so often when we're trying to hold the magic that everybody possesses, it doesn't feel authentic because it's not coming from us. And that's what I talk about in my podcast is finding your own magic within, your essence and what makes you you, and your own identity, but it also takes having to unlearn a lot of things that we have been conditioned to take as our own selves, which isn't exactly ourselves. It's just over time we've been put in structural environments that taught us how to be a certain way, but didn't really hone in on what makes us us, like our entire essence. So when he spoke about making sure you turn it up 100% on with yourself, it definitely did ping that thought as well. So yes, I will definitely, that's exactly what came up for me.
I love this here, and I like this. There's the components of unlearning ways of being your like of being that aren't you that really like strike me. And maybe as you're talking, um, I want to speak to like some of like the resistance that outliers might feel with like going all in, right? Or like being like doing the shadow work and like and seeing themselves on the other side of it and so forth, right? So let me ask you here, and I think I like to phrase it in this way because when I think about shadow work, I think about the other side of it, which is light work, right? And like how effervescent things can seem, and then you step into something and it just doesn't, you don't get the same kind of returns. So let me, or the same kind of feelings. So let me ask you here, what would you say has been, and I don't have the right language just yet. Maybe I'll call this. What was like the cost, as in like what was the investment that you needed to make in order to show up as yourself? And what is the returns? Like, tell me about some of the returns that you've gotten on that investment, on the price that you paid to do that shadow work and do the other things that you do in order to keep shining.
So I'm definitely going to start a little backwards with that question, only because the investment that I experienced definitely had to be um, showing up authentically, but more confidently. And what I had to let go was the fear of how other people are going to perceive me, receive me, and just knowing that the people that are called to me will lean in closer. I was raised in a very Catholic Christian household. So when it came to going to spiritual retreats, I was able to be a part of that. And I've learned so much in that regard. And what I've learned is that there is a lot of people pleasing that happens along the time along the way. But what I've learned is that your community is able to listen to you. And something that stuck with me from that time was that usually, you know, our voice is not meant to be heard by everyone, but the people that can hear us, their ears will be able to tune in, like their hearts will lean in. And so more specifically, I had to let go of that fear and knowing that everyone may not like what I have to say or may not be able to lean in, but the people that feel like they need it, there'll be like some kind of stirring in their heart or um, something that I would say would make them press in more. So definitely the investment at the end of the day would definitely be how do I, it's a freedom. You have there's a freedom that comes with it and you're liberated. And you don't feel like you have to perform for anyone. So that's the beauty of it. It's just, it definitely involves the fear of letting go and feeling like the people around you that you do love, accepting that they may not be able to see you the same way and they may not accept you, but just knowing that on the other end, there are people that are waiting to embrace you and people that have been wanting to see you. And that would be it. I think that's it. So yeah.
I appreciate that, Neil. Like let's just keep the good times going. What's coming to you based on anything that Ebi just said?
So for me, my cost, what I had to pay my ego, right? So the cost, the investment was my ego. I had to let my ego die and realize that I am not as good as I think I am. Right. So there's two sides of that. But the return on that was what Ebi just mentioned, freedom. Right. I think that when I stop trying to be, or I think I am something that I'm not, and I am just being, then I have a sense of freedom. And so that has been one of the greatest feelings, greatest returns on my investment of letting my ego go, is that I get to be and do this thing called life with great, amazing people who are also experiencing freedom. And that's why I know it's no mistake that we're here on the Outliers Edge. Is because of letting go of ego, answering a call, walking through open doors and opportunities, and then just being with other people who are looking for freedom.
Loving this. Ebi, something's drawing me back in. I feel like this part of the conversation is not done. Y'all can just feel free to open up your mic. I know y'all can just go at it. Before we hit recording the Outliers, I saw them like, oh, they could just go. So is anything calling to you, especially as we're talking about this freedom and such?
Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like when we're free and we show up for ourselves, we show up better for other people in our lives. And then we get to connect with people that we're meant to connect with. I feel like when we're not, um, when we're holding back or we're too afraid or maybe just like Neil shared, like we're in our ego, we tend to miss out on certain connections and opportunities. If I never started my podcast, we would have never met in this capacity, at least in this capacity at all. So that definitely did resonate with me also. And I feel like you always find it's something, you know, you hear all the time, you always find your tribe when you do show up the way you should be showing up. And a lot of things do fall away that should fall away when you give yourself that permission.
Niiamah, let me jump in here really quickly, sir, if you don't mind. And so as Ebi talks about freedom, I think it's important for everyone to know that it's not that we have it all figured out. It's not like we're walking through like, hey, we don't care what anyone thinks, we're blazing our trail. But so many of us have been in environments, and we might even be in environments now. We might be in familial situations where freedom is shunned upon. I mean, where you look and see, well, like, no, don't be a creative. Don't be an outlier. You're weird. You're going to be ostracized. And we have that desire in us to play bigger, to do more, to go after a dream. But when we tell it to family members, friends, those who love us, they might say, that's not a dream. That's indigestion. That's gas. You just need to let that thing sit for a moment and then you'll get over that foolishness. But then you wonder why you keep hearing that call, right? Why you look and you see, or why you're tuned into this podcast and you're saying, man, I really want to schedule that call, or I really want to listen to the podcast, or I might want to comment or ask a question. But what if someone sees me ask a question or comment, right? And I think that it's important for people to know that we are meant to live a life of freedom, not reckless, but of freedom.
Yeah, I want to let that one just like sink in here, this is we are meant for this. So we're gonna start wrapping up. There's something that you did bring up earlier though, Neil, that like is playing on me. One of them, I just want to remind Outliers that you said this because I think it's easy to miss. But you talked earlier around like when you're like, I am the value. You talked about like how you reminded yourself multiple times in the day, right? So Outliers, here goes a little bit of this is how we do it. We practice it in real time. It's been about 10 minutes, since maybe 5 if you're listening on 2x speed, since Neil brought that up. Have you reminded yourself again? Right? What was that thing that you need to remind yourself of? Not you, Neil. I'm talking to Outliers out here, but like
I thought you were talking to me. I was about to say, yeah, boy, come
yeah,
on.
yeah. But like I like this. I like this. Like people don't know this, but there's always like, well, we're all good. We're all good. Um, Neil, you brought in one thing, and I'm going to try and squeeze this in before we wrap up for today. You brought up, I am not as good as I think I am. And you're catching me at a stage right now where I had always said, why be the best when you can be the only? Why be the best when you can be the only? And I started to realize that like that was good, but I'd like to be the only and the best. Like I'm starting to see what that looks like here. So you said I'm not as good as I think I am. And that like in that statement is a whole world of possibility and also a whole world of problems. So I'm just curious if we can just like elaborate on what that means for you and how you use that to help you continue to grow and up level now.
Because and now this is not a question or statement of self-worth. I think all of us have a self-worth. We need to identify our individualism, our self-worth as a person, business owner, family member, whatever that is. But I said there are two sides, right? But when ego is involved, if I think I'm as good as I am, or I really am as good as I think, then there comes in that level of complacency, right? And so I have another saying where I am quick to tell people, I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best, right? And so I'm not as good as I think I am, but I'm also easy to find if you're looking for the best. And I play both of those messages in my head simultaneously so that I don't get comfortable. So I don't sit here and say, I can't learn anything else. No, I'm not going to go and sit down and have conversations. I'm not going to check out this podcast episode because I'm really that good. No, I'm not, because there's always something else that can have a positive impact on me. So I don't want people thinking, well, I'm not as good as I think I am. No, say, I'm not as good as I think I am, but I could always be the best. I can be the only and the best, exactly as you said. So that's something that those dual messages are playing in my head, just keeping me sort of even keel.
I love it. Amy, anything that you want to put on here, especially with this element of like, yeah, what you got?
No pressure.
Yeah, and you don't have to have anything. I just like I realize like sometimes I over direct. I'm like, no, like we're fine.
Oh no, no, no. I one thing about me, I like to joke a lot. But no, I am very appreciative of being on this platform with the both of you and being able to meet Neil also and share this experience. Um I don't think I have anything else left to say, though. I'm just honestly, everything that Neil is saying is resonating, and I was able to pick up why he said what he said because of his ego. He wanted to keep that in check, but always make sure he's being great. So thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate all of you, and thank you for playing. This has been a different way than I've played this podcast in the past, and uh, I do it because I'm still trying to like in a sense. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, like dance on that. Yeah, I like honestly that's like the highest praise I could give. I'm like I didn't know what was coming, And because I do a lot of these, like realistically, I have a lot of conversations. And so like it is really something cool. I'm like, whoa, look what came out of this, right? Look what came out of this. So Outliers, I'm going to talk to you now here. Something different happened in this conversation. Right. And there's probably someone out there in your life right now that could use something different. Right. And my ask right now is that you take some time to share this with that person. Look, you can go ahead and share this with everyone you know. Like, please, we're not going to stop you from using your platform and your networks to help people in your world. But I also ask for you to join us in our one person, one conversation at a time initiative. And what that looks like is just like you finding one person in your life and sharing this conversation with them because it is like you feel like it would be a gift to them right now. Anyone that's out there that like the conversation that Neil and Ebi had, like if there's something in there that would touch them, I ask that you walk to that person and you share this episode with them and let them know why you thought of them. Something in my mind just says like if we can just do this one person, one conversation at a time, there'll be something. There's another level of undercurrent that goes on. And at the very worst, someone's going to know that you're thinking of them today. I think that's something really beautiful that we can pass on. Right. So Neil and Ebi, we're going to be wrapping up our conversation here. The way that we do that is that we share how outliers can stay in contact with us, actually to go deeper in it, not just surface level contact, but to go deeper into our worlds. And we also share an insight that we got from the conversation. If we didn't get an insight from the conversation, that's totally fine. But like I want to make sure we have the space for that here, right? Ebi, how about we go with you first? Why don't you let us know how we can go deeper down the journey with you and an insight that you got from today?
Certainly, how you can go deeper down the journey with me, that would be, sorry, let me go back. Can you explain that to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So what, like, how can people connect with you outside of here and go deeper
I'm
down
sorry.
and then we'll go there? Yeah,
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
yeah.
So I do have my podcast, which is the Shadow Work Podcast, and that is available on iTunes. I believe it's still on Amazon as well, Amazon Podcast and on Spotify. And my Instagram handle is ebi.maria. And also today, honestly, it's about having a fire lit in your soul. And I love that this conversation happened. So thank you so much, Nehemiah, for inviting me onto the podcast today. It really did sync with where I am in my life. And it's when you have a synchronicity that pops up, you basically you answer yes to the call. So thank you.
Thank you, Evie. It's really, really good. I'm glad you answered the call. That's awesome. That's awesome. Neil, how about you? How can outliers continue down the journey with you? And what's an insight you got for today?
So the first thing is I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. That's the number one thing that you need to know. But my website, Neil Oates Jr., NeilOatesJr.com. On all of my social, you can find me at Mr. World Renowned. Mr. World Renowned. As you all see, I do not have an ego problem. But to Niiamah and Ebi, what I want to tell you is that my takeaway is that you all are the value. And it's just exciting for me to hang out with family, to hang out with good people, to know that the good guys and gals are going to win. But to Ebi specifically, when she said, this is not a hobby, it's a life mission. Hit me, boom, full stop, wrote it down. And so now I thought that I was doing my life mission. I've got to make sure that I'm not playing at this thing like a hobby. So I've got my whiteboard over here. As soon as we're done, I'm going to go up to my whiteboard and write in big red and green letters, this is not a hobby, it's a life mission. I'm ready. Let's go. Thank you, Ebi.
Thank you all. Thank you all here. Outliers, we've had a tremendous conversation. I'm looking forward to what we all create with our life missions and to be reminded of that on a regular basis. Here goes the thing. Until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.